The rain hammered against the windows of our small cottage in the Cotswolds, mirroring the storm brewing inside me. For 20 years, Immanuel and I had built a life here, a quiet, predictable existence filled with Sunday roasts, long walks in the countryside, and the comfortable silence of shared history. I was a mechanic, content with the simple satisfaction of fixing engines and getting my hands dirty. Immanuel, a schoolteacher, brought a gentle order to our lives, a calming counterpoint to my sometimes gruff exterior. It started subtly. A new perfume when I hadn't bought her. Late nights at school grading papers, she said. Business trips to London, conferences she couldn't miss. I didn't question it at first. I trusted her implicitly. We were Immanuel, and then came the phone calls. Whispered conversations in the garden, her voice dropping to a conspiratorial hush when I entered the room. Secretive texts, the phone always clutched face down on the table. I tried to ignore it, to chalk it up to stress, to a midlife crisis. Anything but the gnawing suspicion that was beginning to take root in my gut. One evening, Immanuel said she had to attend a last-minute meeting at school. It's about the new curriculum, she explained, her eyes flitting away from mine. It could be late. I nodded, trying to appear nonchalant, but as soon as she left, I felt a cold dread wash over me. I couldn't shake the feeling that something was terribly wrong. I decided to drive to the school just to ease my mind. The school was dark, deserted. No cars in the parking lot, no lights on in the classrooms. I felt a wave of nausea. Where was she? Driven by a desperate need to know the truth, I pulled out my phone and checked her location, something I had never done before. The app showed her miles away, not at the school, but at a small boutique hotel on the outskirts of town, the Willow Creek Inn. My heart hammered in my chest. I didn't want to believe it, but the evidence was undeniable. I drove to the inn, my hands gripping the steering wheel so tightly my knuckles turned white. I parked across the street, my eyes fixed on the entrance. After what felt like an eternity, I saw her. Immanuel emerged from the hotel, her arm linked with a man I didn't recognize. He was younger, taller, with a confident swagger that made my blood boil. They laughed, their faces close, and then he leaned in and kissed her. A long, lingering kiss that confirmed my worst fears. The world seemed to tilt on its axis. My wife, the woman I had loved and trusted for 20 years, was cheating on me. A wave of rage washed over me, so intense it threatened to consume me. I wanted to confront them, to scream, to fight, but I knew that would only make things worse. Instead, I watched them drive away, my mind reeling, my heart shattered into a million pieces. I drove home in a daze, the rain still falling, the storm inside me intensifying. I walked into the house we had built together, the house that now felt like a prison. I sat down in my armchair, the weight of betrayal crushing me. For hours I sat there numb, trying to process what I had seen. How could she do this to me? Why? Had our marriage been a lie? Had she ever loved me? The questions swirled in my head, unanswered, unresolved. I knew I couldn't stay in that house, not with the memories, not with the pain. I packed a bag, grabbed my wallet and keys, and walked out the door, leaving everything behind. I drove aimlessly, not knowing where I was going, not caring. I ended up at a small pub in a nearby village, the Red Lion. I ordered a pint of ale and sat in a corner, trying to drown my sorrows. A man approached me, a weathered face and kind eyes. "Rough night, mate?" he asked. I nodded, unable to speak. He sat down beside me and listened as I poured out my story, the words tumbling out in a torrent of pain and anger. He didn't interrupt, didn't offer platitudes, just listened with empathy. When I was finished, he said, "You deserve better, mate. Don't let her ruin your life." His words resonated with me. I did deserve better. I deserved to be loved and respected, not betrayed and lied to. I decided then and there that I wouldn't let Immanuel destroy me. I would find a way to move on, to rebuild my life, to find happiness again. The next morning I drove to a solicitor's office in the city. I told him everything, the affair, the lies, the heartbreak. He listened patiently, then said, "You have grounds for a divorce and a strong case for a favorable settlement." I instructed him to proceed, to file for divorce and to protect my interests. I wouldn't let Immanuel take everything from me. I had worked hard for what I had, and I wouldn't let her greed dictate my future. I moved into a small apartment in the city, a stark contrast to the cozy cottage I had shared with Immanuel. It was lonely, but it was also liberating. I was free, free from the lies, free from the betrayal, free to start over. I threw myself into my work, spending long hours at the garage fixing cars, talking to customers, finding solace in the familiar routine. I also started taking evening classes, learning new skills, expanding my horizons. I reconnected with old friends, people I had neglected during my marriage. We went out for drinks, played pool, and laughed. I realized how much I had missed their company, their support. Life wasn't perfect, but it was getting better. The pain of betrayal was still there, a dull ache in my heart, but it was slowly fading, replaced by a sense of hope and possibility. One day, I received a letter from my solicitor. The divorce was finalized, and I had been awarded a significant settlement. I had also been granted full ownership of the cottage. I decided to sell the cottage. It held too many memories, too much pain. I wanted a clean break, a fresh start. I put it on the market and it sold quickly for a good price. With the money from the sale, I bought a small garage of my own, a place where I could work independently on my own terms. It was a dream come true. I was finally in control of my life, making my own decisions, shaping my own destiny. I was no longer defined by my marriage, by Immanuel's betrayal. I was my own man, strong, resilient, and ready to face the future. Months later, I received a call from Immanuel. Her voice was shaky, desperate. "I need to talk to you, Barnaby," she said. I hesitated, then agreed to meet her. We met at a coffee shop in town, a neutral ground. She looked terrible, pale and drawn, her eyes red and swollen. "I've made a mistake, Barnaby," she said, her voice trembling. "I regret everything, regret," I said, my voice cold. "You destroyed our marriage, Immanuel. You betrayed my trust. You broke my heart. And now you regret it." "I was foolish," she said. "I was bored. I was restless. I thought I wanted something new, something exciting, but it was a lie. He didn't care about me. He just wanted my money. And now he's gone, isn't he?" I said, my voice laced with sarcasm. "Left you high and dry." She nodded, tears streaming down her face. "I've lost everything, Barnaby. My job, my friends, my reputation. And now you lost everything because of your own choices, Immanuel," I said. "You made your bed, now you have to lie in it. Can you ever forgive me?" she asked, her voice pleading. I looked at her, at the woman I had once loved, and felt nothing but pity. "No, Immanuel," I said. "I can't. You broke something that can never be fixed." I stood up and walked away, leaving her sitting there, alone and miserable. I didn't feel any satisfaction, any triumph, just a profound sense of sadness. I continued to build my life, brick by brick. I expanded my garage, hired a few employees, and built a successful business. I made new friends, traveled to new places, and discovered new passions. I even started dating again. It was scary at first, putting myself out there, risking heartbreak again. But I met a wonderful woman named Bront, who was kind, intelligent, and compassionate. We connected on a deep level, and I found myself falling in love again. One evening, as Bront and I sat by the fire, she turned to me and said, "You know, Barnaby, you're one of the strongest people I know. You've been through so much, and you've come out the other side stronger and wiser." I smiled, grateful for her love and support. "I couldn't have done it without you, Bront," I said. I had survived the storm, weathered the betrayal, and emerged into the sunlight. I had found happiness again, not in the same place, not in the same way, but in a new and unexpected form. I had learned that forgiveness is possible but not always necessary, and that sometimes the greatest revenge is simply moving on and living a good life. Years passed. Life with Bront was everything I had ever hoped for. We married, we laughed, we supported each other through thick and thin. Immanuel, on the other hand, faded into a distant memory, a ghost of a past I had successfully left behind. Then one crisp autumn afternoon, I received an unexpected visitor at my garage. A young woman, no older than 20, stood hesitantly at the entrance. She had Immanuel's eyes. "Barnaby?" she asked, her voice barely a whisper. "Yes," I replied, my heart suddenly pounding in my chest. "My name is Willow," she said. I think you're my father." The world seemed to stop. I stared at her, speechless, trying to process the implications of her words. Immanuel had never told me she was pregnant. She had never mentioned another child. "I don't understand," I stammered. "Immanuel never said anything." Willow explained that she had only recently discovered the truth herself. Her mother, consumed by guilt and regret, had finally confessed on her deathbed. Immanuel had succumbed to a long battle with cancer, a secret she had kept even from Willow until the very end. Apparently, the affair wasn't just a fleeting moment of weakness. It was a full-blown relationship that resulted in a pregnancy. Immanuel, terrified of losing me and the life we had built, had kept the child a secret, choosing to raise Willow with another man, a man who believed he was her biological father. Now, with Immanuel gone, Willow was searching for answers, for a connection to her past. She had found my name among her mother's belongings and, after much hesitation, decided to seek me out. The revelation hit me like a tidal wave. Not only had Immanuel betrayed me with another man, but she had also hidden the existence of my own child, denying me the chance to be a father to Willow. A mixture of emotions surged through me: shock, anger, disbelief, and surprisingly, a deep sense of loss. I had missed out on 20 years of Willow's life, 20 years of fatherhood. I had been robbed of the opportunity to watch her grow, to guide her, to love her. I invited Willow inside, and over the next few hours we talked. I learned about her life, her dreams, her struggles. She was intelligent, compassionate, and fiercely independent, much like her mother, but with a vulnerability that touched my heart. I also shared my story, the story of my marriage to Immanuel, the betrayal, the divorce, and the long road to recovery. I didn't sugarcoat anything, wanting her to understand the full extent of her mother's deception. As the evening drew to a close, Willow looked at me with tears in her eyes. "I don't know what to expect from you," she said. "I just wanted to know the truth." I reached out and took her hand. "Willow," I said, "I can't change the past. I can't make up for the lost years, but I want to be a part of your life now, if you'll let me." A tentative smile spread across her face. "I'd like that very much," she said, and so a new chapter began in my life. I welcomed Willow into my world, introducing her to Bront and my friends. We spent time together, getting to know each other, building a relationship that had been denied to us for so long. It wasn't easy. There were awkward moments, painful reminders of the past, and the constant awareness of the void that Immanuel's lies had created. But with each passing day, Willow and I grew closer, forging a bond that transcended the years of separation. I learned that Willow was an aspiring artist, with a passion for painting landscapes. I encouraged her to pursue her dreams, providing her with the resources and support she needed to hone her craft. She, in turn, taught me about art, about seeing the world in new and different ways. She challenged me to step outside my comfort zone, to embrace creativity, and to find beauty in the unexpected. Bront was incredibly supportive, welcoming Willow with open arms and treating her like her own daughter. Her kindness and understanding helped to ease the transition, creating a warm and loving environment for all of us. Together, we navigated the complexities of our newfound family, honoring Immanuel's memory while acknowledging the pain and deception she had caused. I realized that Immanuel's betrayal, though devastating, had ultimately led me to a place of greater understanding and compassion. It had taught me the importance of forgiveness, not just for others, but for myself. I had forgiven Immanuel, not for her sake, but for my own. I had released the anger and resentment that had consumed me for so long, freeing myself to embrace the present and the future. And now, standing beside Willow, watching her paint a vibrant landscape, I knew that I had finally found peace. Immanuel's lies had cast a long shadow over my life, but they had not defined me. I had emerged from the darkness, stronger and more resilient than ever before. I had found love again, not once but twice. I had built a successful business, surrounded by friends and family who supported and cherished me. And I had gained a daughter, a beautiful and talented young woman who had filled a void in my heart I never knew existed. In the end, Immanuel's betrayal had not destroyed me. It had transformed me. It had led me to a life that was richer, more meaningful, and more fulfilling than I could have ever imagined. As I watched Willow brush vibrant strokes of color onto the canvas, I whispered a silent thank you to the woman who had broken my heart. For it was through her betrayal that I had discovered the true meaning of love, forgiveness, and the enduring power of the human spirit. I had hated Immanuel, but from this hate grew something beautiful, something unexpected, something that I would cherish for the rest of my days, and that I realized was the ultimate revenge.